Welcome back to our channel, the place where hidden chapters, royal secrets, and the stories the palace won't publish finally come to light. Today we bring you a breaking news: Meghan's childhood exposed, Dad's leaked videos, spark global outrage, she's devastated. Amid a protracted and highly publicized familial dispute, Thomas Markle, the estranged father of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, has publicly released a collection of private home films from her childhood. He unveiled the tape during a media appearance, portraying it as a glimpse into his daughter's upbringing and as substantiation of what he characterizes as a previously intimate and inseparable connection between them. This action signifies a new, intricate phase in a tumultuous relationship that has faced considerable public examination and polarized viewpoints since Meghan's engagement to Prince Harry was disclosed. The recordings recorded by Thomas Markle depict a young Meghan engaging in many typical family activities. Mr. Markle presents these recorded instances as evidence of a nurturing, engaged childhood countering depictions of estrangement or disorder. One footage depicts a young Meghan fishing, evoking serene routine family excursions and a child's inquisitiveness about her surroundings. In a further video, she is shown dancing, an initial manifestation of movement and excitement that, as stated by Mr. Markle, ultimately evolved into a persistent interest, resulting in regular classes. Home movie documentation exists of a family excursion to Big Bear Lake in California, which Mr. Markle has characterized as Meghan's first trip to the snow, a milestone he clearly regards as noteworthy. He also recorded the sets he created for her school productions, which he references as a connection to his professional background. He is an Emmy-winning lighting director in Hollywood, and his efforts in constructing basic theatrical sets for school plays serve in his narrative as a concrete manifestation of parental engagement and pride. In addition to these visual assets, Mr. Markle has consistently conducted interviews in which he underscores the profundity of his grief and his persistent desire for reconciliation with his daughter. Now in his late 70s and grappling with significant health issues, notably the repercussions of a 2022 stroke that has hindered his speech clarity, he has expressed ongoing regret for the separation. During an interview part, he articulated a straightforward, recurring sentiment: "I truly miss her," he stated. "I hope you are experiencing the most exceptional birthday of your life." This succinct phrase exemplifies the tone he frequently employs: melancholic, mournful, and centered on the yearning for a renewed familial bond. Mr. Markle often revisits the moment of Meghan's birth when contemplating the roots of their relationship. He recalls that on August 4th, 4 decades prior, Meghan was delivered by cesarean section and placed in his arms. He has stated he was the first individual to hold her. In his recollection, he articulates a tactile, intimate memory. "A hand encircled my fingers, and I fell in love with her, remaining so for 40 years. This narrative of early devoted attachment undergirds much of his public allure. It serves as the basis for his assertion that the estrangement is unforeseen, distressing, and from his viewpoint, unwarranted. He expresses palpable regret at his lack of opportunity to meet his 2 grandchildren, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, and acknowledges the absence of significant touch with Meghan for several years. A family member who took part in the interview reiterated the belief that the Markles constitute a close-knit group, stating, "Someday, Meghan will recognize that she is undoubtedly missing out on a truly supportive family. We remain united consistently, regardless of circumstances, and that is invaluable." These remarks contextualize Thomas Markle's public narrative within a broader familial assertion that a nurturing, interdependent family unit has been fractured, adversely affecting all parties involved. When asked, inquired if he still loved his daughter, Thomas Markle's response was unequivocal and positive. "Certainly I love my children. I cherish my daughter and my son. Undoubtedly I love them," he asserted. He references the tangible remnants of familial existence that envelop him. He asserts that his residence is adorned with photographs of Meghan and his other children, images he characterizes as heartbreaking reminders of happier times. The existence of these visuals in his domestic environment serves as both evidence of emotional connection and a visual representation of grief. He remains perplexed by the complete deterioration of the relationship. These individuals can attest to the proximity of my relationship with Meghan. I invested a significant portion of my life alongside her. I am perplexed by her decision to discard all of it. He conveyed to the interviewers, expressing both confusion and anguish. Observers can pinpoint the public disintegration of the Markle family ties to the weeks preceding Meghan's wedding to Prince Harry in May 2018. Thomas Markle was anticipated to escort his daughter down the aisle at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, a customary duty for a father at a British royal wedding. In the days preceding the ceremony, it became apparent that he had collaborated with a paparazzi photographer to orchestrate a series of images. The photographs depicted him being fitted for a suit and photographed while holding or reading a book on Great Britain. The revelation of this arrangement incited a media frenzy, since it implied that Mr. Markle had engaged in the fabrication of a public persona under considerable scrutiny rather than permitting events to transpire discreetly. Shortly after the episode, Mr. Markle declared his decision to forego attending the wedding, attributing his absence on the necessity of heart surgery. Consequently, Meghan's escort for the procession to the altar was altered due to his departure. Instead of being escorted entirely down the aisle by her biological father, Meghan was partially accompanied by her father-in-law, King Charles III, who was then titled Prince of Wales. The conditions surrounding the wedding and Mr. Markle's absence became a cause of distress for Meghan. In a 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, she directly addressed the issue, articulating a sense of betrayal. Meghan stated that when she and Harry reached out to her father over the staged images, he initially refuted any collaboration with the press, a denial that, according to Meghan, was the primary source of distress. According to her explanation, the deceit was more detrimental than the act of orchestrating the photographs. In the 2022 Netflix docuseries, Harry and Meghan, she elaborated on the emotional ramifications of that incident, stating, "I lost my dad in this." Her remark indicates that the breach of trust had enduring emotional consequences. From Thomas Markle's viewpoint, the images and the associated debate were a misguided endeavor to enhance his public image, an attempt to rectify or offset what he regarded as unjust, unfavorable representations in the media. He has referred to the episode as one foolish error, and often articulates confusion at what he perceives as an excessive and prolonged penalty for that lapse. "I committed a singular foolish error, and I will never be absolved for it," he has stated in interviews, emphasizing the notion of a minor misstep with disproportionate repercussions. He utilizes his public platform to denounce what he regards as a deficiency of compassion from the couple who have openly advocated for ideals such as empathy. He stated that while the show discusses compassion, there is a lack of compassion for him and his family, placing his problems in a moral context that underscores perceived hypocrisy. The familial conflict extends beyond Meghan's relationship with her father. It includes her half-siblings from his previous marriage, Samantha Markle and Thomas Markle Jr., both of whom have been vociferous detractors. They have consistently interacted with media sources to articulate their perspectives on Meghan's character and the dynamics of her relationship with their shared family. Thomas Markle Jr., who was 14 at the time of Meghan's birth, has contested Meghan's public assertions of her upbringing in solitude. He expressed strong discontent regarding Meghan's statement during the Oprah interview, in which she remarked about her relationship with Samantha, "I grew up as an only child." This comment elicited considerable backlash from her paternal relatives, who perceived it as an effort to negate their existence in her life and to alter the family's collective narrative. Meghan's statement was perceived by her paternal relatives as an obliteration, implying that significant family members were absent from her upbringing. Thomas Markle Jr. expressed incredulity and derision openly. He proposed that the assertion conformed to a pattern of falsehoods, stating, "I merely made a small mark on my board and remarked, 'Oh, there's another lie.' therefore indicating that in his opinion this represented yet another example of perceived misrepresentation. Samantha Markle, author of The Diary of Princess Pushy's Sister, Part 1, has persistently denounced Meghan in public. Samantha contends that Meghan intentionally estranged herself from the family to construct a more favorable narrative for the British populace and the royal institution. Samantha posits that the individual has a distinct reason for severing ties with her family, as it would ostensibly validate and potentially postpone the disclosure of the numerous falsehoods she had communicated to the royal family, thereby providing a rationale for what she perceives as intentional alienation. Samantha has contested the prevalent rags-to-riches narrative attributed to Meghan, asserting that Meghan actually experienced a upper-middle-class upbringing mostly supported by their father. Samantha asserts that their father offered educational possibilities and a degree of comfort that in her account contradicts a story of severe adversity. Samantha articulated a narrative of familial history that underscores paternal investment and stability, stating, "He enrolled me in the finest schools. He exerted his utmost effort. He loved me. He made sacrifices for me." She thinks that Meghan ought to have recognized and valued that basis, instead of alienating herself. Samantha accused her half-sister of engaging in self-aggrandizement and excluding others as if she existed in isolation, claiming that she is distorting history for the sake of personal branding. Samantha asserted she would still be a waitress if it weren't for Dad, a statement that aims to credit Meghan's initial opportunities to paternal assistance rather than a story of modest origins. Public denunciations from Meghan's paternal relatives have coincided with several charges in the media regarding Meghan's character and conduct. During Meghan's tenure as a working member of the royal family, reports emerged in the media and from anonymous palace sources claiming that she was a demanding supervisor, resulting in elevated staff turnover. Reports indicated that certain employees were reduced to tears and that she imposed standards deemed unrealistic by some, suggesting a conflict between her and specific staff members. The accounts led Buckingham Palace to initiate an internal probe regarding allegations of bullying in 2021. The findings of that investigation were not made public. The palace's silence results in a lack of official conclusions for the public, yet it has not curtailed conjecture or the dissemination of unconfirmed claims. Meghan's representatives have persistently refuted these storylines, claiming that the charges constitute a deliberate smear effort aimed at undermining her reputation. They have described most of the unfavorable media coverage as prejudiced and as a systematic effort to undermine or delegitimize her. However, remarks from her family members have been utilized by detractors to reinforce the depiction of Meghan as demanding, ambitious, or challenging, a characterization that finds considerable support in certain media outlets and among commenters who are critical of the couple. Although Thomas Markle has not explicitly accused Meghan of bullying, his comments occasionally resonate with a wider characterization of a lady who always expected the world to revolve around her, thereby suggesting a self-centeredness that bolsters critics' assertions. The Markle family's ongoing public commentary presents a continual communication challenge for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex as they endeavor to create a life and brand independent of royal obligations. Each interview, media appearance, and social media post by Thomas Markle or other family members compels Harry and Meghan's communications staff to undertake challenging strategic decisions. Insiders report that Meghan's staff has grappled with a constrained array of options to initiate legal proceedings and issue formal threats, to construct counter-narratives in the public domain, or to maintain silence and composure. To date, the Sussexes have predominantly exercised restraint, largely refraining from openly addressing the specific allegations put out by the Markle family. Their methodology demonstrates a calculated strategy to mitigate the amplification of adverse narratives and to maintain personal boundaries amid persistent public scrutiny. However, quiet incurs its own expenses. The lack of a direct counter-argument does not prevent narratives from establishing themselves and disseminating broadly. The familial conflict provides an incessant flow of material for media entities and pundits who critique the marriage, so ensuring the narrative of discord persists in public discourse. This media attention stimulates speculation regarding the couple's personal lives and financial arrangements. Critics contend that the scandal involving the Markles has ramifications that surpass mere reputation, perhaps affecting opportunities, contracts, and public favor. Subsequent to their official exit from primary royal responsibilities in 2020, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex engaged in commercial collaborations and media enterprises. They entered into agreements with prominent corporations such as Netflix and Spotify in arrangements reportedly valued at over $100 million collectively. The agreements were integral to a strategy aimed at establishing separate careers and financing a lifestyle that encompasses security expenses and living in Montecito, California. Their Netflix docuseries garnered significant viewership and attention, although their Spotify collaboration ended in 2023 following a single season of Meghan's podcast Archetypes. The conclusion of the Spotify agreement, together with the substantial expenses related to private security and their lifestyle in California, has incited media conjecture regarding the financial challenges confronting the couple. Critics have used the public remarks of Meghan's relatives to bolster a narrative portraying Meghan's notoriety as a hindrance to lucrative endeavors. Accompanying these financial accounts are speculative and occasionally unconfirmed assertions regarding Meghan's intentions and aspirations. Certain critics have posited that Meghan was chiefly motivated by the pursuit of a royal title and international acclaim, with Prince Harry contributing to the realization of those objectives. One remark depicted Harry as having fulfilled his role once Meghan attained a superior social standing. An unverified assertion reportedly from an individual associated with Meghan's first spouse, Trevor Engelson, claims that Meghan included Prince Harry on a vision board years prior to their encounter, an implication that, if accurate, would indicate a long-standing aspiration to join royal life. These accounts, often lacking substantiation and occasionally based on unnamed sources, are exacerbated by the ongoing familial discord. The public expression of grievances by the Markle family adds emotional depth to narratives of ambition, entitlement, or strategic social advancement, even in the absence of direct evidence. The contrast between conflicting accounts of identical occurrences presents a challenging quandary for observers and the general populace. On one side is the account presented by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, a woman who fell in love with a royal-faced, incessant, and racially charged media scrutiny in Britain and felt betrayed by family members whom they claim colluded with the press. This perspective posits that the couple's cessation of royal responsibilities and their move to the United States were measures of self-preservation aimed at protecting their mental well-being and familial privacy. In this narrative, Meghan's claim of having lost her father is presented as a lament on the repercussions of his actions rather than a stark repudiation of a parent. The Markle family's account depicts a caring father and supporting siblings who were suddenly estranged when Meghan embraced a life of increased affluence and public visibility. In this iteration, Thomas Markle is a sorrowful elderly individual whose principal misstep was a misguided decision made under the duress of overwhelming public scrutiny. His relatives contend that he has been subjected to excessive punishment and assert that Meghan has, in their view, forsaken them in her quest for fame and status. They assert that their media interactions are driven more by a necessity to communicate with Meghan and to protect their reputations against what they consider to be falsehoods propagated in the Duchess's public narrative. The dissemination of childhood movies exemplifies how family members utilize personal artifacts to substantiate their narratives. For Thomas Markle, these domestic recordings are meant to provide irrefutable evidence of his parenting commitment, a visual affirmation of the joyful and involved father he asserts he was, as well as the typical home life he alleges to have enjoyed with Meghan. By disseminating these tapes to the public, he aims to regain authority over the narrative of Meghan's formative years and to refute claims that the family was ever aloof or apathetic. The objective is to evoke public compassion and exert moral pressure on Meghan to reassess the estrangement. From the viewpoint of the Duchess of Sussex, The films signify an invasion of private familial history that has been weaponized for public consumption. The footage serves as a medium through which personal memory is challenged and reinterpreted for widespread consumption. For Meghan and her associates, every fresh interview, recovered photograph, and segment of home video material acts as a persistent reminder of a history that she neither controls nor can entirely govern. The recurrence of such content in the media perpetuates and intensifies the dispute, rendering the Markle family drama a persistent aspect of her public persona, irrespective of her willingness to participate in it. As the public endeavors to evaluate the facts and select between contradictory narratives, numerous challenging inquiries persist. Is Thomas Markle an aggrieved individual? A devoted father who has been unfairly marginalized? Is he an active contributor to the erosion of trust? An individual whose actions at a pivotal moment and subsequent readiness to engage with the media frequently facilitated the dissolution of familial ties? Is Meghan Markle a detached and strategic social climber who deliberately severed ties with her family to attain rank and celebrity? Or is she a lady who undertook difficult actions to safeguard herself and her new family from additional harm and public scrutiny? The responses to these inquiries are largely contingent upon the narrative an individual deems more credible, as well as the significance attributed to personal witness, private recollection, and public declarations. As Thomas Markle nears his 80th year, his appeals possess an intensified urgency. Advancing age and deteriorating health might amplify the want for reconciliation, with the desire to see grandchildren frequently emerging as a particularly emotional aspiration. He has articulated a distinct desire to cultivate a relationship with his granddaughter, referencing a photograph from Meghan's initial wedding in Jamaica, and stating, "I would like to share that experience with my granddaughter." His communication to Meghan remains unwavering, a persistent expression of affection and a longing for dialogue. As always, I love you and wish we could converse about it. I am not a monster. I would appreciate the opportunity to speak with her. He stated, embodying both vulnerability and an appeal to shared humanity. Nevertheless, despite these entreaties, the dissemination of the private tapes has not yielded the reconciliation that Mr. Markle desires. Instead, it has rekindled the overarching controversy, attracting increased scrutiny from media outlets and instigating another round of public discourse. The announcement demonstrates the challenge of addressing private disputes in a public context. What one party presents as evidence of good faith may be interpreted by the other as an additional breach of privacy. Furthermore, when familial interactions occur on a worldwide platform, magnified by social media, television, and international media, the emotional stakes are heightened by the risk of reputational damage and the formation of lasting public perceptions. Ultimately, the cinematic remnants of Thomas Markle's boyhood that he has disclosed have done little to mend wounds. They have chiefly ensured the narrative remains prominent in the news. The conflict between Meghan and her paternal family persists, marked by conflicting assertions of legitimacy, truth, and moral superiority. The father's anguish and the daughter's insistence on boundaries coexist without a clear avenue for reconciliation. The saga offers an ongoing narrative of loyalty, privacy, media influence, and the tumultuous interaction between personal histories and public notoriety. The profound personal grief of a father and daughter has become a subject of extensive public interest, lacking a definitive resolution, as the want for privacy conflicts with the call for transparency. The public will probably persist in monitoring and deliberating further developments, new interviews, additional material releases, and any indication of rapprochement. The current situation, characterized by the dissemination of these home films and Thomas Markle's persistent public appeals, highlights the complexity and anguish of familial estrangement, particularly when intertwined with celebrity media scrutiny and global fascination. The world waits attentive not only to the forthcoming pronouncement from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but also to the next utterance from a father whose voice, despite occasional impairment from sickness and stress, remains resolute and unyielding. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and goodbye for the time being.